All right, geometry students, hope you had a great spring break. I'm fighting a little sickness. If I sound funny, that's why. Here we go, quick and fast for the geometry video. Should be all review. If A and B are two numbers, we can write A over B. It's called a ratio, provided B doesn't equal 0. We can also write it A to B. We can also write a ratio of three numbers, like 1 to 2 to 5. So I like that colon for expressing a ratio of more things. So one of my favorite questions, the ratio of angles of a triangle are 1 to 2 to 5. So that means this. And then that means 8x equals 180. You can solve for x. An equation that sets the two ratios equal is called a proportion. You probably dealt with proportions before. And when you dealt with proportions, you were probably taught, oh, I'm just going to cross multiply and divide. And when you cross multiply and divide, you get 5 times 16, and that's 80. And you get 10 times x, and that's 10x. And you divide by 10, and you get 8 equals x. Yeah, that works. That's one way to do it. I think the smarter way to do it is to start a problem like this and say, okay, 5 over 10 equals x over 16. Well, first I'm going to call that 1 over 2 equals x over 16. And then I want to get x by itself, so I'm just going to multiply both sides by 16. And then that gives me 8 equals x. Another thing is if you get some problem like this, 1 over 2 equals x over 16 plus 3 over 4. You can't do this cross multiply and divide thing. But what I did would work. So if you came over here and you said, oh, the lowest common denominator of 2, 16, and 4 is 16, so I'm going to multiply everything by 16. That gives me 8 equals x plus 12. And then I get x equals negative 4. And again, my method works, and my method is called math, and your method is called memorize something that sounds cool but doesn't always work. So the math method is just dealing with fractions, and the best way to deal with fractions in an equation is not deal with them at all. You just multiply by the lowest common denominator. Try this example. So the lowest common denominator is pretty easy to find here. The lowest common denominator is 3y times y plus 1. And because that's the denominator over here times the denominator over here, when I multiply this out, I get 1 over y plus 1 times 3y times y plus 1 equals 2 over 3y times 3y times y plus 1. Now, the 3y's cancel on the right-hand side, the y plus 1's cancel on the left-hand sides, and I get 3y equals 2 times y plus 1. And the middle schooler who just walks in the room says, oh, you cross multiply and divide. No, I didn't cross multiply at all. All I did was multiply by the lowest common denominator. When the lowest common denominator is the product of the two denominators, it's going to look like you cross multiply. So now it's just algebra, distribute the 2, get 2y plus 2, subtract the 2y, and you get y equals 2. Excuse me. Y equals 2. Good? Never a bad idea to check your answer. But y equals 2. Now, the one new thing you might learn in this video is on the next slide, and it's called the geometric mean. You might know the word mean means average, but you're really thinking of what's called the arithmetic mean. And the arithmetic mean, and I think it's an I there, sorry. The arithmetic mean, the arithmetic mean is found by taking a bunch of numbers, adding them up, and dividing by the term. So a plus b and then divide by 2. That's the arithmetic mean. You're used to finding that all the time. It's like an average. The geometric mean is where you multiply the two numbers and take the square root. It's set up with this proportion, which is why it falls in this chapter. So the common question you may have seen before is find the the arithmetic mean between 2 and 8. And you would say 2 plus 8 is 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5. That's the arithmetic mean. Now I'm going to ask you to find the geometric mean. The geometric mean is the number such that 2 over x equals x over 8. And that's x squared equals 16, and that means x equals 4. And so 2 comma 4 comma 8. Look at the difference between those two sequences, 2 comma 5 comma 8. When you find the arithmetic mean, add 3, add 3. When you find the geometric mean, multiply by 2, multiply by 2. So, the geometric mean is a number such that if you multiply by the same thing, it creates this nice little sequence. Arithmetic mean where you add the same thing. But back to the slide, the definition you need to know. Oh, sorry about that. Let me just get out of here. The definition you need to know is if x is the geometric mean of two numbers, then a over x equals x over b, which means x squared equals a times b. And then you solve for x by taking the square root. Be able to set up this proportion. Do not just jump to that, because I can make it very hard when you try to jump to that, but always set up the proportion. All right, that's it for this video. Have a good night. Peace.